ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦਿ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਗਿਆਨ ਧਿਆਨ ਕਿਛ ਕਰਮ ਨ ਜਾਨਾ ਨਾਹਿਨ ਨਿਰਮਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਕੈ ਅੰਚਲ ਲਾਵਹੁ ਬਿਖਮ ਨਦੀ ਜਾਇ ਤਰਨੀ। ਗਿਆਨ ਧਿਆਨ ਕਿਛ ਕਰਮ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਸਾਰ ਨ ਜਾਣਾ ਤੇਰੀ ਸਭ ਤੇ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਿਨ ਕਲ ਰਾਖੀ ਮੇਰੀ। तेरे जोर मैं गूंगा कहता हूँ तेरा सदका तेरी शरण।
सतनाम श्री वाहिगुरु साहिब जी। सोचै सोच न होवई जे सोची लाख वार चुपै चुप न होवई जे लाए रहा लिवतार। भुखिया भुख न उतरी जे बन्ना पुरिया भार। सह सियाणपा लख होहे ता एक न चलै नाल। किव सचियारा होइया किव कूड़ै टुटै पाल। हुक्म रजाई चलना नानक लिखिया नाल। सोचै सोच न होवई जे सोची लख वार।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸਤਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਪਤਿਤ ਪਾਵਨ ਭਗਤ ਵਤਸਲ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਦੇ ਖਜ਼ਾਨੇ ਦੀ ਸਾਜੀ ਨਵਾਜੀ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ। We're all blessed today. We've come together for the second week where we started to do the Katha, the discourse, the vichara of Japji Sahib, which is the first Bani of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Last week we heard the importance of Japji Sahib itself, how much, if I use a word that maybe we can relate to, how much power Japji Sahib has. And then we understood the Mool Mantar, the deeper understanding maybe of the Mool Mantar. From last week I sort of stated that Japji Sahib was given the level of the Mala Mantar. So as we do one Mala or many Mala of different jobs, Waheguru Mantar or Mool Mantar, by doing one Japji Sahib da Path is like completing one mala. And then we said the Mool Mantar, obviously Mool means root. Now if we try to imagine how all this fits together within Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Now although Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is infinite, because we learned that Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji and the 10 Gurus and then the 10 Gurus Jodh Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is the form of a Waheguru, of Akal Purkh of God on this world. And even though they're infinite, we can imagine, for us to imagine how all this fits together, if you imagine a tree, and if Mool means root, then the Mool Mantar are like the roots of the tree, and the roots come at the start. However, before you have the roots, you need to plant some seeds. And we say that Ik Oankar, the start of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, just those two words, Ik Oankar, is called the Bij Mantar, the seeds. So out of the seeds of one God, who has no opposition, who is the creator, and how we described him last week, the giver of life, the organizer of life, the deliverer of life. So they are the seeds, and then from the seeds you develop a root. The root is the Mool Mantar. And that's why the Mool Mantar is special, because it comes right at the start, just like at the start of a tree, it comes right at the start of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. It only comes once. And then from the tree, from the roots, the tree starts growing. And then you have loads of branches and loads of leaves. So if you imagine that tree with many, many branches, many, many leaves, as Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, the trunk or the bark, sort of the strength of that tree is within Japji Sahib, the Mala Mantar. Because every message, or all the messages that are contained in Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, can be found in Sri Japji Sahib da Path as well. That's how important it is. So just like the branches are joined onto the trunk of a tree, because they're linked to that trunk, if we want to imagine it in this way, the trunk of a tree, we can imagine that trunk to be like Japji Sahib. And that's how important it is. And that's why we were trying to stress last week that if we don't do it, then we should try and learn it. If we do it once a day, or we already know it, then we should do it. If we do it once a day, we should try to memorize it. If we already have memorized Japji Sahib da Path, then we should try to increase it. Just like Bhai Lakhuji did when he used to do 21 Japji Sahibs, and his Jivan, his life, he became liberated within his life. So that was last week. Another question which arose last week is when Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji went into the river for 3 days, and I sort of described Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji using Gurbani, that Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji is, if you will, the embodiment of Waheguru, the embodiment of God. How can Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji meet God then? If they're the same thing, how can they meet God? And so there was a valid question that somebody raised after the Divan last week, and I just wanted to share that in the Divan so everybody could understand that. So if we need to take an analogy, and although Waheguru is infinite and we can't really sense them, it's just about experiencing them, sometimes we have to use worldly or finite, that means things that we can imagine, to sort of describe what's going on, because that's where our mind is. Our mind is only on that level, so we can only use those examples to describe. So if we imagine an ocean of pure water, Waheguru, like a never-ending ocean, and if you take a cup or a glass or whatever you will, and you take a cup full of that ocean out of the ocean, that water remains pure within the ocean, and it remains pure within the glass or the cup. So when Waheguruji comes onto this earth, he gave himself that body of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji, or he came into that body. And therefore you can still have the embodiment of Waheguru, because that water is still pure in that cup, in that glass, just as it's pure in that ocean. We, however, the creation, have over the years, as we started with that pure form, due to our actions, we have built up impurities. So the point of us coming here, or in this human form, is to try and purify ourselves so we can become one we can be just as pure as that ocean again, and therefore there will be no difference between us and Waheguru themselves. And that's the amazing thing about Sikhi compared to other faiths and other teachings, that Guruji has given us that blessing that we can become to the same level as them by purifying ourselves. And through Japji Sahib, week on week, we'll learn how that will be the case. So today, we're going to start with the next body, and we're going to see how the Siddhs, when they started having these discussions with Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji, how they asked questions and how Guru Sahib Ji gave answers, and how we can learn from those to purify ourselves.
Satnam Sri Waheguru Sahib Ji Socha Sochna Hovai Je Sochi Lakhwar.
So the Siddhs, those ascetics, those people, those yogis, however we want to describe them, that travelled all around India and generally lived in the mountains in the Himalayas, they, with their discussion with Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji, they said in their teachings, in their thoughts, they have 4 ways of what they do, 4 types of actions that they complete to find Waheguru Ji. The one type was purifying themselves. They felt that if they constantly stayed pure, if they washed themselves, then they would, that's one way of finding Waheguru. The second way is what they say, Mool Mantar, to stay quiet for long periods. The third way is by fasting. And the fourth way is by using those teachings and those little teachings of how they can develop, and little rituals and little practices they can use to find God. So they have those 4 things, and this body talks about those 4 things. So the first question was about constantly washing. Socha Sochna Hovai. What they used to do, because a lot of the religious people in India were of, in their mind, a higher caste. Now Sikhi doesn't believe in caste, because once you become a Khalsa, that is your caste. Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji says many times over that the caste of a Sikh is Khalsa, is purity. So as one becomes a Khalsa, comes on the path of Sikhi, there is no caste. That is the caste, if you want to describe it. But the Siddhs would look at themselves as a higher caste, and they would not touch people, or they would not go near people who they deemed as being lower caste. So every time they would go near any dirt, they would have a shower, or they would bathe themselves to try and remain pure. And Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji said, Socha means Sucham, like to stay pure. So Socha, by doing this, Sochna Hovai, you won't become pure, your body will not become pure. Je Sochi Lakhwar, Lakh means 100,000, it's a type of counting, 100,000 times. Even if you washed yourselves 100,000 times, in other words, constantly did it, your body will not become pure. Within our bodies, within our minds, we have these 5 vices, or Panch Jor, as Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji describes. Kaam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar. Kaam is lust, Lobh is greed, Moh is attachment, Krodh is anger, and Hankar, which Guruji describes as the strongest form, is ego, having ego. And no matter how many times you bath yourselves, Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji described to them, no matter how many times you do that, or you go through that practice, your body will never become pure, your mind will not be rid of these 5 evils, you will still think in those ways. If you feel you've overcome lust, then you will start becoming angry, you will get krodh. If you feel you've overcome krodh, you will start becoming greedy, and then you will start having attachment, and then even if you think you've defeated all of those, you will become so happy within yourselves, or you will become egotistical, thinking that you've defeated those, and in fact the 5th one would overtake you. So by bathing yourselves constantly, even 100,000 of times, your body will still not become pure.
Chuppa Chuppana Hovai Je Lai Raha Levatar.
So Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji said the second form, by staying quiet, Chuppa, if you stay quiet, Chuppana Hovai, your mind will not become quiet, because even though you will stop speaking, you won't be speaking, inside your mind your thoughts will continue to come and arise. Your thoughts will still come and think about doing sinful, wrongful things even if you remain quiet. Je lai raha liv tar. Even if you live tar, live is like your concentration. Tar is constant, akand, non-stop. No matter how long you concentrate to stay quiet, your mind will not go quiet. There's a Sakhi in the times of Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji, when a lot of these people would come into the darbar or in the sangat, in the congregation of the Sikhs as well, just to see and just to learn what they could and see the Sikhian practice and have sangat with the Guru. And so this moni means somebody who stays quiet, came into the darbar, and the Sikhs looked in excitement to see, well, look, this person hasn't spoken for many, many years, and he's not speaking now. He's coming across as really religious and really pure. And they asked Guruji, so this guy isn't speaking, we speak as Sikhs. Could this be a way to find liberation, to find oneness with God? Guruji says, don't worry, you will see a teaching in the next few days between about staying quiet, about doing mourn. So every evening he would come to the divans, and one evening Guruji said to the Sikhs, is there no Sikh that is going to feed this great spiritual person, take them home to give them langar? And one Sikh volunteered. Guru Sahib Ji said to him in front of this Moni, in front of the Sangat, take this great spiritual person, he's not spoken in many, many years, take him to your house, feed him whatever you have, do his seva really well, but give him the food of what you got, what you have and what you eat. Now, Guruji was obviously the knower of everything, but at the same time they could plant seeds in your mind, and the Sikh understood in what Guruji was saying when they said, whatever you eat, whatever you have, feed him with your best food. So that Sikh took that money home that evening. He went to sleep, he did his seva. In the morning he woke up, and from the previous night, because that Sikh was poor, and from the prasad, the rotiya from the previous night, in the old days, even maybe sometimes these days, we live in England and we get new food made by our parents constantly, or if we're elders ourselves, we get new food made. But in India, even till this day, and especially in poor families, if there's any left over the night before, that's what they have in the morning. And he had that in the morning, that Sikh, and that was his best food, and so he fed the Moni with that food. And the Moni sat there eating it away, rukiyan rotiyan. So it was misse prasade, we call them in Punjabi. And he kept eating them, and he gave him a glass of water. And in his mind, although he was quiet, he was full of growth in his mind, thinking, Guruji said to the Sikh, feed me with your best food. Is this all the food that they've got? When they went to the darbar that evening, Guruji asked the Muni or asked the Sangat or spoke to the Sikh and said, you know, this spiritual person, have you fed him well? And that Sikh goes, yeah, I followed your button to the letter. You said to me, feed him with the best food you have, the food that you will eat, and that's exactly what I gave him. And the Muni, the person who was quiet, was sat there in his mind swearing, really angry, full of growth. And as the Sikh said, yeah, I gave him the best food, and Guruji was giving him shabash, that you've done really well, you've shown an outsider how to do their seva, the Muni actually spoke up and openly started shouting and said, you didn't feed me well, you gave me the food from last night. Guruji said to you, give me your best food, you should have cooked from the start. And then all the Sikhs in the Sangat started laughing. They realized what had happened. They realized a small way of how Guruji showed that even if you're a Muni, even if you try to stay quiet, those Vishavikar, those Panch Jor, in this case the growth, the anger, don't just go away. They don't just go away. And so Guruji showed that even if you try to stay quiet, that quietness in your mind doesn't go away, which is the key to everything. So it doesn't matter about being quiet in the outside, it's about being inside, finding that peace inside. And by staying quiet, you will, even if you stay quiet constantly, you still won't find that peace inside. So the third way was fasting. They used to fast for many months. And many faiths even today continue fasting, but in Sikhi there is no such thing as fasting. It's seen as a ritual. I know in other faiths, women fast for their husbands' good health. In some faiths, I think that's in the Hindu religion, in the Islamic religion, they fast for a month over Ramadan. In the Jewish religion and in the Christian religion, they have a fasting time as well. But in Sikhi there is no such thing as fasting. Because even Guruji saying, Bhukya, even if you stay hungry, Bhuk Natri, your hunger won't go away. What hunger won't go away? If you stay hungry, the hunger for material goods won't go away. Even if you, Je Banna, Puriya, Par, Puriya are all these worlds. A world is called a Puri. If you Par means the weight, if you tie together, Banna, if you tie together all the weight of not just this world, many worlds, your hunger for materialistic things will not go away. Those Panch Chor will still be in your mind, no matter how hungry you stay, no matter how many fasts you do. Because in many other religions, they fast for, good things to happen. But in their mind is materialistic things. Such as the wife thinking of the good health of their husband and hoping that they have a good career and that kind of thing. It's all about wealth. In the other religions, they fast for a month so they have a prosperous year. It's all about materialism. And Sikhi doesn't believe in that. So Guruji is saying that even if you stay hungry and you tie up everything from the world, your mind will not be complete, your thirst won't be quenched.
ਸਹਿਸ ਸਿਆਣਪਾ ਲੱਖ ਹੋਏ ਤਾ ਇੱਕ ਨਾ ਚੱਲੈ ਨਾਲ.
Sahas Syanapa. Sahas means many. Syanapa, many clever tricks or many thoughts. Lakh hohe, lakh again 100,000. Even if you have 100,000 different ways of finding liberation by given to you from teachings and doctrines that have been on this world many times over, that ikkana challenal, not one of those will go with you when you're getting liberated. Not one of those will go with you. So these four ways that the Siddhs used, Guru Sahib Ji, Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji has renounced all four of those ways. So then the Siddhs, as Guru Sahib Ji renounced all of these, the Siddhs asked Sadguru Sahib Ji a question.
ਕਿਵ ਸਚਿਆਰਾ ਹੋਈਐ ਕਿਵ ਕੂੜੈ ਟੁੱਟੈ ਪਾਲ.
Give means how. Satyara, how do we become pure? Satyara hoiya. How do we become pure then? How do we become liberated? How do we become one with Waheguru Ji? Give again. Kuda tutte pal. Give how? Kud means the dirt. What dirt is Sadguru Sahib Ji talking about? Kuda tutte. Tutte means break away. Pal. How does this dirt break away? What dirt is Sadguru Sahib? What dirt are those Siddhs talking about? They're talking about the dirt of our lives, of our past lives, of all of our actions that we've built up doing good sometimes, as we describe, and doing bad. And those good and bad actions, doing any type of action, is built up over time, and we keep coming back to this world through the 8.4 million life forms to pay off debts, gain new, and then pay more off, or get paid back by other people. And we're in this cycle of births and deaths, doing good, doing bad. People we meet, doing good, doing bad to them, and then we're coming back over and over, meeting the same souls, let's say, in different lives, in different forms, paying each other, getting new, taking new debt on in terms of our actions. So Sadguru Sahib Ji in their Bani and the Siddhs to Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji asked these two questions. How do we become pure then? How does this dirt of all our past lives be broken? How does it be taken away?
ਹੁਕਮ ਰਜਾਈ ਚੱਲਣਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਨਾਲ.
Hukam Rajai Chalana. Chalana means to walk, to go. Hukam means order. Rajai, the way of that hukam, the way of the order. To walk in the way of his command, in the way of his order. Nanak, Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji is telling us, or telling the Siddhs at the time and telling us now, Likhya Nal. Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji is telling us that when we came into this life, what was written, Likhya, and what came with us, Likhya Nal, what came with us as was written, as was preordained, to walk in the way of that command. That is how you answer that question. That is how you become pure. That is how you break away from the deeds of your past actions. Now what is that hukam? Hukam, or the actions, there are three types of actions that link with that hukam and that what it gets written down. Because you could have a question, You could say, well, if Sadhguru Sahib Ji or Akal Purkh Waheguru has given us all those actions, he's preordained everything, then what do I need to do in life? I can, even if I'm doing wrongful things, then Guruji has written that anyway, so actually I'm only following his order. That's what we could ask, think, listening to this translation. But we have to go deeper than that to understand what that hukam is. Now, that hukam is linked to our actions. There are 3 types of actions or karma, or if you read it in English books, they'll call it karma with an A on it. It basically means actions. There are 3 types of actions. One is called kiryaman. That means the actions that we are doing daily. Those actions that we are completing daily in our lives, they're called kiryaman. And as we do them, they become collected. They collect together, and the collected ones are called sanchit karam. Actions that have been collected. And when we leave this body, let's say when we die from this body, all those that we've collected in this life, through doing kiryaman in this life, being collected and then being called sanchit, along with all the other ones that have been collected in our previous lives that haven't been destroyed using Gurbani or haven't been taken away or haven't been paid back, those are called sanchit. From those then, when we go into our new life form, again, another way to describe it, let's say Akal Purkh Waheguru, maybe just, I don't know how to describe it other than, let's imagine that Waheguru Sahib Ji just puts their hand, let's say these are all collected in a bowl, and Waheguru Ji puts their hand in that bowl, and whatever comes out, that's what goes with you to your next life. And those actions, or those karma, are called paralabdh. Paralabdh karams are the ones that Guruji has chosen to send with us in this life. We still have sanchit karam because all of those can't come in one life that we have to pay for or we have to do deeds for. They may come in future lives. The paralabdh is the hukam, is what we've been given in this life. Now those are the hukam, and we can't destroy those. We can't get rid of those karam. We can't get rid of those paralabdh actions. Those karam are ones which we say that what we do in life, the people we meet, the kids, the parents we have, the brothers and sisters we have, the family we have, the friends we have, certain things that we have to do in life that are important, maybe the type of duty or the type of seva you've been given, or the type of role, the type of mentality you have, they come in that paralabdh karam. They're the ones that are written, that are the hukam. The ones that are in the sanchit karam, the ones that are collected and maybe still in that bowl, that we still have to pay for, they are the ones that we can destroy by reading Gurbani, by doing good deeds. And then obviously the kiryaman, which I described, are the ones that we collect in more every day by day. And those ones that we collect in the kiryaman, they form the sanchit karam. So this hukam that Guruji is talking about, hukam rajai chalana, nanak likhya nal, Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji is telling us that those karams that have been written and that have come with us, the paralabdh, if we can understand and follow that order and walk in the way of that order, understanding the good and the bad that will happen in our lives, that's how we'll become pure. That's how we'll break from our previous misdeeds. Not by doing these 4 practices that the Siddhs used to do many years over, and in these days they have been developed by society as Sikhs. Maybe we don't wash ourselves constantly, maybe we don't stay quiet anymore, maybe we don't go hungry and have fasts, maybe we don't read knowledgeable doctrines from many years ago, but other ways, let's say ritualistic things that we do, maybe we only have a bath on a certain day, maybe we only come to the Gurdwara on a certain day, maybe we feel that one day in the week we're not going to do anything bad, or we don't eat, or we don't take intoxicants. They have become like ritualistic things. And so in this body, in this day, in this life, Guruji is saying, even if you do those kind of practices, it necessarily won't make you pure, it won't make you liberated, it won't make you one with God. Your actions that have been built up over many lives will not be broken. The only way to break them is actually understand the hukam, understand that paralabdh, that command that we've come with in this life, and walk within that, understand that, and only then you will find peace. Sadhguru Sahib Ji has given us this message in the first, because this is pauri number 1 again. So we had pauri number 1 in Mool Mantar, and now we're having pauri number 1 again, starting from Socha Sojana Hovai, in this pauri of Japji Sahib. It's the second pauri, if we count the pauris in total, of Japji Sahib. However, it's the first pauri within this section after the Mool Mantar. Sadhguru Sahib Ji has given us this message this week, that we have to try and stay away from ritualistic deeds and try and think about the hukam. Next week, Guru Sahib Ji is going to expand on what that hukam is. The next pauri goes into hukam a little bit more. So I've tried to share that with you a little bit and link it to your actions, because there's always a valid point of what about our actions then? If there's an order, that means doing bad things, God is willing that for us to do it anyway. And I just wanted to share that with you, that they're not actually willing us to do bad actions now. The order is, the hukam is the actions we've done in the past that have caused the way and where and who we meet in this life. And next week, Sadhguru Sahib Ji will expand on hukam a little bit further, and hopefully then we can understand how that is fitting to our lives. Doing this week's Katha, I said obviously it's going to be shorter every week now. I may have made I know I must have made many mistakes, because I'm not really completely knowledgeable, or don't have the complete knowledge of Waheguru. I hope one day I do. I hope one day all of us do. All of us find Sikhi, and all of us are blessed with the blessings of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Deho sajjan asishniya jo hova sahib sumel. I apologize again if I've made any mistakes. Hopefully you can bless me, the Saad sangat, that week on week I will be blessed with this knowledge that I'm trying to share with you as well. Hoiye kiv kuda tutte paal, ਹੁਕਮ ਰਜਾਈ ਚੱਲਣਾ, ਨਾਨਕ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਨਾਲ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।